agreed that the Steelers are going to win.
What I'm open to having a conversation. That's where I'm at. To me, I don't know why it's controversial to have a dialogue.
I don't feel the need to respond to CNN. Did you hear what I said there? Good day.
So Democrats are going into panic mode after Senator John Fetterman met with Pete Hegseth yesterday. And of course, the media is trying to stir up drama over this meeting. So why don't we start at the very beginning, right before the meeting took place? Here's John Fetterman being interviewed by CNN.
Are you open to supporting him?
A lot still has to happen before all of that place where, again, the FBI vetting and the hearing and all these things. So that's where we're at.
What about some of the other controversial Trump picks like Kash Patel or RFK Jr.? Do any of those give you pause at this point?
All I am saying is that Democrats or other people can freak out over anyone that was nominated, and I am not that guy. And I'm open to have a conversation for whoever especially really important ones. Like yesterday, I met with Representative Stefanik, and I was going to vote for her. And Rubio, another people. There are people that we may agree on a lot of things or disagree on other things, but if these people are going to hold these kinds of offices, and we are in the business of working and getting along with people that disagree with some of the things we have, and we try to find the things that we can possibly agree on for the best possible outcomes.
Now, if Senator Fetterman continues to behave this way, a lot of people are going to be claiming that he has switched to being a Republican, because the culture at this point in time is Republicans are more open-minded to discourse, debate, and actually having a conversation with people. Democrats, on the other hand, historically, especially over the past 4 years, they're not looking for a debate. They definitely don't want to engage in discourse. And so him speaking this way has definitely created a lot of backlash. People are definitely complaining about it. We'll show you here in a bit. But here he is responding to the criticism of him sitting down with Pete Hegseth.
Some folks on the left may say that by doing that, you're giving them a veneer of bipartisanship, and you guys should be drawing better, sharper contrasts with Trump. What do you say to them?
No. Again, they're entitled to their opinions. But to me, I don't know why it's controversial to have a dialogue with the people that are going to be part of the next administration.
Senator John.
But yeah, and those individuals can vent or rant on Twitter. But I'm here to have conversations, and I think I'm just doing my job.
Now, please take a moment. If you're getting value from this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you want to support us further in the work that we do, go to the link in the description below, shop our merch store, or just simply buy us a cup of coffee. Yeah, in other words, he's telling his colleagues that they can go pound sand if they're going to lose it every time he sits down with the opposition. Now, of course, the meeting did take place, and here is Pete Hegseth speaking to the press about the meeting.
I thought you were getting the hang of this by now.
More time with the press. How did the meeting go? It was a wonderful meeting. He's thoughtful. He's independent-minded. Defense, as I've said, is not political. National security is important to Democrats and Republicans. A great conversation with the senator, and that's all.
Are there any other Democrats that you talked to?
Now, he's right on one thing. The defense of this nation should not be political. But of course it is, right? I mean, let's just be honest. It's the swamp. Okay. Everybody has their own personal agenda. Everybody wants to be the man. Everybody wants to make money, have power and influence. And no matter what side you're on, it always comes down to the recurring theme of where we are in our country: populism versus the establishment. Now, the establishment, they want war. Populist does not want that. In fact, we want an American first agenda that truly favors the average American. And of course, Pete Hegseth will do something that we all can agree with, is get the wokeness out of the military. So it's great that he was able to have this meeting with a John Fetterman to put the politics aside, the divisiveness to the side, and actually just have a conversation. Now, here is John Fetterman speaking about the meeting as well.
And then create space behind you if he decides to talk.
We agreed that the Steelers are going to win.
Are you a yes?
And now he doesn't have a real opinion on Sheets or Wawa. He doesn't have a lot of experience on that. But of course we know that Sheets is the right one, and the Steelers are going to win. And now also the news is that we actually had a meeting. We had a meeting. We had a conversation. And that's what happened. And that's where we're at. There really is no new news after that conversation.
Are you supportive of him? How do you evaluate?
I'm not really sure that, like I said, there's not really any new thing. We had a conversation, and that's part of the process. And that's the thing. I'm going to follow the process. I'm going to listen to what my colleagues on the other side continue to say and how they evaluate. And that's just part of the process.
Are you considering voting for him?
You know, so it's just like it's a conversation.
Are you open to supporting him, Senator?
Is you okay?
You okay?
So clearly he is playing with the media and having fun with this. And I would actually say it's really funny what he was saying there. But let me just explain something to you guys, okay? Over the past 100 years, there has only been 3 nominations that were rejected, okay? 3. So the likelihood of Pete Hegseth being rejected is really low, technically, if you're going to factor in history. And he only needs a simple majority, okay? And right now the majority is on the side of the Republicans. Remember, 53 senators are Republicans in the Senate. So, I mean, we're going to have at least 4 to 5 Republicans vote no on Pete Hegseth. And here is Pete Hegseth posting on X. Thank you, John Fetterman, for your fairness, courage, and hospitality. I appreciate our time together and your commitment to the troops, American defense, and our ally Israel. And from a Vikings fan, go Steelers. Now, there was also another update where Pete Hegseth sat down with Rand Paul. And right after that meeting, he had some special words for CNN.
Can you just respond to the CNN report this morning? It was highlighting some of your previous comments saying
I don't feel the need to respond to CNN.
Have a good day.
You are comfortable with gay people openly serving in the military.
Did you hear what I said there?
Have a good day.
Thank you.
So that report that Pete Hegseth clearly doesn't want to give any attention to is this. Pete Hegseth, Trump's defense pick, says allowing gay troops to serve openly reflects a Marxist agenda. Now, this title is really misleading, as you guys will see. They start off the article by saying in his 2024 book, The War on Warriors, and in other media promotions throughout the year, Hegseth described both the original Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy and its repeal in 2011 as a gateway and a camouflage for broader cultural changes that he claims have undermined military cohesion and effectiveness. Hegseth writes in his book that he was initially oblivious to the change, but came to regret his passive stance, describing the repeal as a breach in the wire that opened the door for broader cultural ideological changes in the military. They also go on to say that Hegseth says he now regrets that view, not because I have a newfound axe to grind with gay Americans, but because I naively believe that's what ending Don't Ask, Don't Tell was all about. Once again, our good faith was used against us. The left never gives an inch and always takes a mile. Hegseth has always been outspoken about what he calls woke policies that he believes has undermined the U.S. military, including allowing women to serve in combat roles and transgender members to serve openly. Hegseth writes these changes are the consequence of social justice tinkering that started with Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Okay, so just a few things. Number one, when I served in the military for 13 years, the Don't Ask, Don't Tell wasn't really the issue, meaning people being gay in the military wasn't the issue. We only care about really 2 things: accomplishing the mission, and 2, not violating my personal space, right? So if you are gay, don't come over here with all that, right? Now, the real issue at hand with a lot of veterans about Don't Ask, Don't Tell is that people in Washington made it very political, and they treated it like it was a social justice movement. And it's the same thing they've been doing with women in combat positions. It's not that women serving in combat roles happen organically, like all these women wanted to become infantry. It's that the people in Washington turned it into an agenda, a social justice movement to try to create equality within the military. And again, that's where they go wrong. And also, according to my experience, I did not see women lining up to serve in combat positions. So at any rate, obviously on the left, they're melting down because Senator John Fetterman was the first to meet with Pete Hegseth. And on the right, they're also melting down because they believe that Trump is running a pressure campaign to force the Senate to approve his cabinet picks. Here is Senator Tillis saying just that.
Do you feel like there's a pressure campaign against people who even throw out concerns?
I do, and I think that that's a two-edged sword. I think that you could run to a point when we have thin majorities to where you could. I think that it's more important to get behind closed doors, address concerns, and have Republicans come together as one than to create controversy. I just think it's a short-term win, but a long-term loss if you're not careful with that.
Okay, last time I checked, it was the media creating the controversy. And there were a few Republicans who refused to even act like they wanted to consider Pete Hegseth. And I would say instead of trying to focus on what the media has been saying and getting caught up in all of that drama, why don't you guys do what you're supposed to do, which is Trump has given you guys a gift, right? The American people has given you a gift. So it's time to do your job. And if you're refusing to do it and you're refusing to stonewall his nominations, when clearly this is what the American people want, then yeah, there's going to be consequences. And the other part of this is if you don't support his picks, then just come out and say it and not be cryptic. And because it really comes down to what they're really scared of here, people. And that is if they don't get down with these nominations, they could potentially be primaried. That's exactly what Senator Lisa Murkowski was saying here.
But I think it's going to be hard, quite honestly. I think it's going to be hard in these next 4 years because you have an administration coming in that has had an opportunity to kind of see how things work, what didn't work, and now we've had 4 years to think about it, and the approach is going to be everybody toe the line. Everybody line up. We got you here, and if you want to survive, you better be good. Don't get on Santa's naughty list here because we will primary you. And my friend Joni Ernst, who is probably one of the more conservative, principled Republican leaders in the Senate right now, is being hung out to dry for not being good enough. And you're going to get primaried.
Now, everything she is saying is correct, but we know that she disagrees with it at the same time. And the reason why I say that is this simple truth. When it came down to Biden's nominations, there was zero resistance. In fact, it was reported about 6 Republicans actually nominated and voted for his cabinet picks. So when we're hearing that there is resistance and people not on board with who Trump is nominating, clearly there's a disconnect there.
You know, what's this all about? Why are we doing this to ourselves? So I think we're getting a little bit of a preview now of what it's going to mean to be allegiant to party. And I don't think that that's going to help us as a Republican Party, believe it or not. And I think it's going to energize and charge up the Democrats to say, all right, the Republicans are going to overreach, they're going to overreact, and so we're going to have an opportunity.
Now, you guys have to understand, she's as establishment as you can get, of course, just like Joni Ernst. And here's the other thing, too. You notice how she's so concerned with what Democrats are going to say. Why are you not concerned with what the American people are going to say? Why are you not concerned with the voters who truly support Trump's cabinet picks? How about that? I mean, that's the disconnect once again with people in Washington. And I just don't think they give enough attention like a John Fetterman does for some reason, and he gets it, even though he's on the other side, that the American people have spoken. Maybe if we really want to have some success here, we might want to start listening, or we're going to find ourselves in a position that the Democrats have been in, where they lost touch with the American public. And what happened to them? So why don't you guys answer this in the comment section below? Do you believe John Fetterman, being the first Democrat to meet with Pete Hegseth, is the right thing for him as a senator? And you believe senators like Murkowski and Tillis, who definitely sound more establishment and have some level of resistance towards Trump cabinet picks, do you think that's bad news for their time as a senator and potentially could lead to them getting primaried out? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are about this video in the comment section below. Now, speaking of being out of touch, of course, Joe Biden's at the top of that list. And just when you thought pardoning his son Hunter was a big announcement. Well, he had another one yesterday when he pardoned 39 individuals and granted 1,500 individuals clemency. And of course, that was met with a lot of backlash. And so we had a video talking about all that. If you want to take a look at it, all you have to do is click on it because it's coming up right now.